Good morning, folks, and welcome to the channel. And it really is morning. It's like 5 o'clock. I'm up early. I have a few jobs to do for himself. He's getting grumpy. Before I go out and do a few hours fishing. I'm not super hopeful, but I didn't go yesterday. But I did go and have a sniff around, and I found a bunch of birds working in a small little channel that I know holds some really nice bass and some super sea trout. Now the sea trout are out of season, so we'll be targeting the bass, right? What I want to talk to you about this morning, I'm only coming awake now myself, but I have to get this done because I have loads to do before I go out. There's a few things I want to talk to you about. I have a couple of ideas, run them by you. First thing I've discovered is that loads of people are probably watching and are not subscribed, right? To subscribe to the channel is a very simple thing, okay? You've just got to go to my profile, right? So click into the thing, go to profile and press the subscribe button. Makes a huge difference to me, right? Now, for starters, I'd be able to buy myself a proper stand and maybe some lighting so that you will be actually able to see the stuff I'm trying to show you and the stuff we're trying to discuss. But the other thing about the channel is there are loads of comments, and please, if I don't get back to you, don't take it personally. It's just I'm literally swamped. Just so much social media stuff, and it's tiring, right? Not the comments. I love this channel. I really like YouTube. It's my favorite of them all. But the other ones take up some energy. Now, for those of you that are up early, there are a small number of these guys, okay, available online at a very special price. So go to seabassfishingireland.com. When you get to the drop down menu, hit the sale page and you'll find them there, right? Get them while they're still in stock. I just have a small few left that I want to clear off the shelves, right? Which kind of leads us naturally into what I want to talk about. And at the end then I'm going to show you some of the other sale products, and then I'm going to discuss an idea I have with you about some of the soft plastic lures. And somebody asked for something yesterday and I did it for them, and I thought, you know what, that's actually not a bad idea, especially for people on a budget, etc. And we all know that money is tight these days, right? I was watching some stuff last night on cost of living prices, and I felt so grateful for how well I have it, you know, despite the fact that I've had my own challenges with illness and all the rest of it. I'm not dependent on a food bank or anything, and there are so many people who are, like, you know, it's desperate situation. So I don't know. I'm a soft kind of character, you know, and all of this this kind of right-wing stuff that's rising up now. I'm not a crazy lefty either. I'm just a very centre, very middle of the road, just leave everybody alone kind of a person, you know. Let everybody do their thing and give everybody a fair shot kind of person. So that stuff, really, I try to avoid it. I don't watch the news so much anymore. It's just, I find it just, you know, and then you have to look at that orange lunatic, like, you know. So, you know, if you're a Trump fan, don't bother subscribing. Go find some Trump fisherman. Oh God, he doesn't like fishing, he likes golf. That says it all, right? Golf. Imagine, oh my God, 18 holes of golf. I can think of nothing worse. I used to play a lot of golf when I was a kid. So honest to God, I'd rather nail one foot to the ground and run around in circles now. with a yellow jumper on me and a pair of white shiny shoes. Ridiculous. Honestly. Now, that little bad boy, right, is the Duo Realis Jerk. Now, it is not a super caster. Doesn't cast super well, right? But if you're a boat fisherman or a kayak fisherman, you want to get your hands on one of those. And they are a ridiculous price on my website. I mean ridiculous. So, now, something that does cast well, but you want, it's a bait that you're going to want. It's for later in the season probably, and you're going to want to have the big guns out, but get them now while they're there, because once they're gone, and then they'll be back up to the normal stupid Duo price. But have you ever seen anything that looks more like a mackerel? It's just look at the back end of it. Look at the sheen, right? That's the Duo press bait. It's like a cross between a metal and a hard lure. So you can see it has the profile of a Duo hard lure, but no lip, right? And you've got to attach your own hooks. Okay, so I'm going to drop some assists off it, but you could just attach a split ring. There is actually a split ring, so just get yourself a pack of lone snipers there, BKKs. I have them in stock. Stick one on the back of that. 40 grams, right? For the beach fishermen amongst us, I promise you, when the waves are pumping, that thing there has caught me so many fish. We ran a mark last September with Derek Curran and the lads from Northern Ireland. Absolutely phenomenal. Just phenomenal. We could see the fish and they were literally just out of reach, and every now and again they just come in underneath us. Now, in fairness, I should have been fishing the other side, but we didn't have time to get out and drive the whole way back around to I mean, so it would have taken us, and by the time we got there, the fishing would have been over. So Damo and Wicklow came up with the question of, would you discuss, do you use silent or noisy surface lures, and if so, why and when and where and how, etc. And the answer is yes, I use both, right? I tend to prefer noisy, although silent have their day. When I'm using silent lures, they tend to be small, really finesse, and I'm fishing over very shy fish, right? And that then just something very, very subtle. Like if I'm fishing somewhere where I can sight fish and I can see the bass, you know, I brought Stephen Drum. Hey Stephen, I know Stephen watches the channel. Lovely gentleman, absolute gent. Last year fishing, and you know, we could see the bass, and you know, he was like, my God, you know, they don't get that in Dublin or whatever. And now we didn't manage to hook up. Now, had we had silent lures with it that day, I think we would have actually taken a fish or two. They weren't big bass, but there were plenty of them, and they weren't in feeding mode. They were kind of just hanging at the side of the estuary at the exit and just hanging there, lolling around the place. Made the odd swipe at whatever you put over them, but they weren't switched on, right? So that's when I tend to use silent lures, and I have done very, very well on them. There's a silent version of most of the top water lures, right? And I have a new range of top water lures coming in. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet, but it has silent versions, and I've ordered lots of silent lures because they are very, very useful, particularly on very, very calm days when the sea is just flat as a pancake, right? They can be useful. Now, what actually a bigger issue is size, and everybody argues over size. Do you fish small surface lures or do you fish great big surface lures? Does it make any difference? Da, 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 da. Now, the trend at the minute seems very much to be towards the smaller lures, right? And that's fine. I get it, right? But honestly, I'm a big lure guy, right? I love the big surface lures. Like I fished the very first double figure fish I had off the surface. Um, I took in an estuary mark. We were 3 hours down the tide. I'd say the tide was running at easily 5 or 6 knots. I put out a Pachinko 140, right, which is a big rattling lure, and you've never seen a take like it in your life. Henry Gilby nearly dropped the camera. He was, oh my God, and this thing just came in, and oh, what a scrap! Like it just peeled line off the reel, right, because it was fizzed up. It was the middle of the day, middle of the summer, loads of oxygen in the water. Fish was on fire. It up and thrashed around and da 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 da. And it was the only fish we saw that day. But boy, Jesus, what a fish it was, and what a take. And I mean, I was shaking for the rest of the day, you know. I was like, just, oh my God. And to this day, you know, the yellowback pachinko is one of the most popular pachinkos. You talk to any shop, right? The yellowback pachinko. Um, Everybody loves the yellowback. Now, I love it not because of the yellowback. I love it because I can see it, right? Which is very important when you're surface lure fishing, is to be able to see your lure and see what's happening around it, right? So, yeah. Now, there are a few things we need to talk about. So, uh, just to dispel a couple of myths, right? One of them is, oh, you only fish surface lures when it's flat calm. Total nonsense, right? If you've got a good wave on, get your big poppers and your Astory 130s, right? Get those big bad boys out and throw them into that wave and watch what happens, right? Like in huge surf, I fish Charles Seawolf needles, and they essentially, when I'm fishing them, they essentially are a surface lure because they come right up. I can see them coming back to me, right? And next thing is you see a bass comes up out of the wave and absolutely hammers the thing, right? The other thing is you can't fish surface lures at night. Total nonsense. You absolutely can. You might have to change your retrieve style, but they work just as well at night as they do in the daytime. I mean, I remember being on a certain sandbar with Henry Gilby 25 years ago, and I took out the lads from France had given me a giant Zekla, right? The big mama, right? A purple, and it's beautiful. With a purple back, pink sides, and a translucent belly, right? I love pink just as a colour. I don't know what way the bass see it, but they love it. And the purple turtle, they were calling it, right? It was the middle of the night. I'll stick up the photo for you because Henry took a lovely photo. Right now, it wasn't a big fish, but it was the first time he'd ever seen a bass caught on a surface lure at night. So it was just casting back up the channel and just very slowly working that lure, like back in across the tide, and then dig, 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 boom, right? So fish your surface lures at night. I am not. Oh, The Pachinko 100, right? I've never caught on that during the day. Now, because I don't fish it during the day, right? If I'm sure if I put the hours in with it, I'd catch loads of fish with it. But I don't fish it during the day. What I do is I put it on at night and I fish it like a needle. And I just wind it straight back. And tick, 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 right? So, and it's a small little thing, you know, it's only 100 mil, right? Um, Now, so the other thing about the tackle house, poppers and stuff, I want you all to guess how old that lure is. Right, throw it in the comments there. Have a guess at how old that is. It's getting new hooks put on it for this season, right? Actually, I might give that one to Charlie, although no, I'm not. I'm going to keep it for sentimental value. I'll give him a brand new one. I'll give him a couple. I'm going to kid Charlie out to the last. He's going to be our little dynamo. I already got some footage off him yesterday, working the X1, and to watch him, he absolutely, boom, he loaded that rod up and sent the lure. I thought, this kid is amazing. He's brilliant. I just can't wait to get him on board. Can't wait to kid him out. He's great. I get lit up every time I think about it. It's just like, yes. He's so cool. And we're going to do some other stuff too to get the kids out fishing, right? We're just going to try and get a hold of some youth groups and stuff and offer my time and to go down and talk and maybe bring lads fishing and show them how much fun they could have doing it and talk about conservation and all the rest, right? And now I know I'm digressing from the topic of surface lure fishing, but it's just when I get thinking about these things I get overexcited. So we've established, right, noisy or silent, right? Yes, silent has its day is what I'm saying, particularly when it is absolutely flat cam, and if you're fishing visually, I think silent lures, like if you don't want to spook fish, right, if you got spooky fish, yeah, silent lures are really useful. If you've got fish that are switched on, they'll take either, right? You know, like they take carrot with hooks in it, right? You know what I mean? So I think the silent lures are really handy when, you know, when it's tough going, right? I say the same about size, right? I'm trying to find a wholesaler for Lucky Craft. So if you're out there and you're watching, give me a ring because I'll buy your product, right? Lucky Craft make some of my favorite surface lures, right? And they do silent versions, and they are absolutely lethal. But they also do very small versions, right? Now, without letting the cat out of the bag, I can tell you that I have 70 mil surface lures on the way. I have 90s and I have 110s, and these things are phenomenal. They're a totally new approach to fishing the surface. And the other lure that a gentleman, Mark, who's a very accomplished angler, fishes my local water, sent me a picture yesterday of a 13.5 pound fish. I was like, holy Jesus Christ almighty, look at the size of that thing. 13.5 pounds. Amazing. Well done. Incredible. So but we were talking about what surface lures we liked. The other lure nobody ever talks about is the Pachinko, right? So it's a pachinko that works like a pachinko, except it has a popper noise on it. So it walks the dog, but it goes like blah, blah, blah. when it walks, right? And it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And it's another great big lure. It's a 140, you know, I think it might even be 150. Like, it's big, right? But like, I want to show you. I showed you at the start there. Where did I put it? That's the Z claw, right? You can see it's not a big lure. Like, I have to stand up, right? It's not a huge lure, right? Look at it in my hand. Okay, not big. Right? Like, compare it to, that's the chain code. There's the Australia 130. Okay, so it's not a big lure. But I've had bass a half a pound, only just a little bit bigger than that, attack it. So like, if the small ones will go at that, imagine what the big ones will go at, right? Like, I know Charlie Garland and those lads are fishing, you know, 170 needles, no bother, and they're getting bass, what up, right? So you can fish pretty big lures for sea bass, but you just got to fish them the right way and in the right place, right? So I like to fish in the daytime a lot, just because it suits me, but also because I catch a lot of fish in the day. Like, a few things happened to bass fishing. One was, it became you could only go fishing in the nighttime. Well, it's not worth going in the daytime, and that's absolute rubbish. It's totally worth going in the daytime if you know where to go. Like when I think back on it, right? So I'm 52 now. I was about 28 or so when we started lure fishing seriously. Up until then, we'd been really bait fishing, right? Um, and hard at the bait fishing, like big into it, targeting all sorts, you know, congers, eels, bass, ray, hounds, you know, travel the country looking for stuff. And then I got a Yozuri mag popper, a surface lure. I don't know if you remember it, but it had like a kind of a macro pattern on the back, and a red face and an orange belly. And I was only over there the other day. I was pulling it across a gutter at half tide, and there was just an explosion. And I had the worst rod you've ever seen. I had monofilament line on and a bait runner reel, a Shimano bait runner of all things. And boom, this fish on. Oh my God, I didn't know what to do. Right, landed the fish, absolutely, I mean, delighted with myself. No such thing as cameras or on phones back then. I mean, that was back in the days of playing Snake on your Nokia, right? So I just put the fish back and went home, and that was it. I never looked back. All the bait gear got sold. I got on the internet. I tried to look up, you know, everything. I mean, the internet was analog then. It was dial-up, you know. So you'd be sitting there waiting on the fucking thing to load up, right? And you hear the deep, beep, deep, deep going in the background. That's the phone. You know, we lived in rural Ireland, so you can imagine it wasn't the speediest internet in the world. But from the very get-go, I was hooked on surface lure fishing. Now, what I would say to you is, what really makes the difference are the conditions. So if conditions are very, very calm, right, like very calm, I will take out something that's quite subtle, right, which usually means this guy, right? Okay, now you can get it, well, I don't know if Xorus do a silent version, but you used to be able to get a silent Claw, and it was fantastic, right? But I'll take out something that's quite subtle, that or even again, smaller again, I'll go down to like a little Sammy 80, right? Love the Sammys, the small little Sammy. I mean, in our local estuary, I was coming down when I was really fishing hard. I mean, I haven't fished hard in about 3 years, because of illness. But I was walking down. Charles had already gone down ahead of me, and I was walking down, and I got to a corner, and I said, "Jesus, that's just coming right there now," because it only fishes for about half an hour this corner. So what happens is you've got a channel that empties out, right, and there's sandbar on either side, and to the right of the channel is all this roughly sand, right? And just as that empties, the fish hold there, and they're watching, waiting for the bait to get pushed because the bait like hangs right back. Um, as the sandbar is empty, the fish are just swiping into the channel and hitting stuff, right? And what you get is this churned up sandy water, right? And it's just got a very short chop on it, not from wind, but actually from current, right? So the wind was blowing from the southwest that day, so it was very sheltered in there, and just a lovely little chop, sandy water. All the sand was stirred up from the tide, and I just flicked out the Sammy 80, gave it a couple of wobbles, and bam, 70 centimeter fish, right, on a tiny little lure. So yeah, right, small lures do work. But if I'm on the coast and I'm looking for big fish, then I'm fishing these boys, right? I'm fishing the big fellas, right? For a number of reasons, right? One, if I'm on the coast in the daytime and it's going to fish, chances are I'm fishing into quite a strong headwind, right? So a 70 mil lure is going to get blown back into my face, right? Two, chances are I'll be fishing a rod that's at least 8.5 foot long. This year I'm going to fish the favourite 822H. Look it up there. Henry reviewed it. The rod has me baffled. I don't know how they did it. Right, like I can cast 7 gram batchy head and a giant X layer or even a small X layer. I can cast it as far as I can with a 2 to 20 or 4 to 24 gram rod, right? But I can also then next cast take up a slow jig at 40 grams, 45 grams, and absolutely hit the horizon with it. I don't know how they did it, right? I know this though. The rating on the rod puts a lot of anglers off. They look at it and they go, "Oh no, that'll be a big tank of a thing." It's really not. It's like it feels better than most bass rods. Like it's probably one of the nicest rods I've fished with, to be honest with you. In fairness, I had a Tenero Super Distance, an injection, and that was a beautiful ride. Like, it really was a beautiful rod. It really, really was. It's going to be hard to top that, but this is getting there. And I think, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to bring it to Prince Edward Island because um, I'm going to need a 4 piece. Speaking of which, so I'm getting Michael Roach in Tremor and Waterford to build me a rod. If you're in Ireland and there's anything wrong with your rods, or you need a rod rebuilt, or you need ice putting on a rod, or whatever, or you broke the butt section, or whatever, get on to Michael Roach. The man's a genius. Like, he used to work in the glass factory, so his abilities with carbon. I mean, he builds mostly beach casters, but he will do your spinning and base casting rods. he's an absolute genius. I mean, his workshop is immaculate. Like, it's on the side of the house. I had to call into him and I'd be on the phone to him. So I rang him anyway, and I said, look, I need something that can handle big surface lures, so it's got to be fast action. I'm looking for kind of 15 to 60 gram, and I needed 4-piece, and I probably need 2 of them, because I'm not paying, like, Canada Air charges huge excess for baggage, right? And the holiday is fairly expensive as already, so yeah. So look, that's pretty much my 10 cents on surface lure size and noise. Jim giving out in the corner, Chief Financial Officer, my financial advisor. Look at him, he's so cute. Look at him, check him out. Can you see him? Say hi to everybody out there. We go fishing? We go fishing. Doesn't take much. He loves to fish. He's going fishing this morning. His big buddy Brad is calling, and we're going fishing for a few hours. So we bring out Arthur with us. He loves it. He's only got 3 legs, God love him. We found him in the hedge, didn't I? Didn't we? We found you in the hedge, didn't we? Oh. Number 1 dog. It's funny, right? Every fish I've caught, he tries to attack. And we were in the boat one day, we were pike fishing, and I hooked a fish and he was ready for action, right? And then I got the fish into the net, and he looked over the side of the boat, and he saw the size of the pike, and the pike opened its mouth, and he just sat back down, went real quiet. I thought he's met his match. It's the only fish he didn't try and eat on me. Another day we were in Saline. We were just having a walk, and he came flying down the beach, and he had this mackerel between his teeth, and the thing was still kicking. To this day I have no idea how he caught it. It must have been in the shallows, trapped or something, and he just got in and grabbed it. But he brought it to me. He was like delighted with himself. He's a total character. So that's what I would say. I would say it's a personal thing, but if you're not fishing poppers, and particularly big poppers in choppy water, and big walk the dogs and stuff, and big walk the dogs in flat water, and medium size, I would class the Z-Claw as medium, right? Because it's 100 mil, I think, isn't it? I was useless at that, at knowing it's about 20 grams, right? 19 grams, 20 grams, something like that, and 100 mil, right? It's just a medium sized lure. Yeah, it is, because so there's the Pachinko 125, right? Now, the most important part of any surface lure is there, right? There you can see it. That's what the fish sees the most of, right? And I found orange to be an incredibly good colour for sea bass, right? Now, before we finish up today, I wanted to just throw out a couple of ideas, right? So, somebody contacted me yesterday, Will. Don't know Will, but I've watched him on Instagram for quite some time. We've chatted a bit over the years, and he's a good angler. I know he was at a stag last night, so he's definitely not watching this at the minute. But he said to me, look man, he said, I love your range of soft plastics, but can you do me mixed packets? And it just so happened I was doing up the lures for Charlie. So I thought, well, yeah, that works, because I can do mixed packets for Charlie too. So what I did was, like with the Mad Slug, for instance, right? The Madness Mad Slug 150, right? It's an absolutely gorgeous lure. Like, Look at that thing. I mean, it's beautiful. It's just fantastic. It's got that joint. You know, I know Andy Davies was fishing it out of the boat last year, and he phenomenal success on it, right? Look at that. Little trick, by the way, if you get your lures and they're like that, right? Because they've been in the packet, just pop them into hot water and they'll straighten out for you, right? Pop them into hot water and hang them and they'll straighten right out. Not that it would make any difference, so it's not going to put the fish off, to be honest with you. Right, and there is, look at that up close now. It's lovely, right? So I gave him, I don't know how many is in a packet because there's about 10 in that packet now, but I gave him 2 of whatever, 2 of this, 2 of that. I gave him a pack of 5-inch 1-up shads that had 5 different colours in it. I gave him a pack of 4-inch 1-up shads that had 3 or 4 different colours in it, you know. So I was able to do those mixed packets. So if you think that's a good idea and it's something you'd be interested in, comment on it today and I'll put some together, because it is a bit of extra work for me. But if it saves people a bit of money and it lets them try a few different lures and see what works for them around their area, what colours work well for their bass that are feeding around them, and then you can go ahead and you'll know, like, oh, well, this time I need a pack of tinsel brown, or I need a pack of pollock, or I need a pack of baby bass, or whatever. Yeah, no problems with me knocking that up, putting it together. Before I go, I wanted to show you a new bait I have in. One of these is open. Well, who cares? I'm opening it anyway. I can get some more in. This is the fish roller from Raid, Japan. They are a company that I am phenomenally impressed with. Right, these are made for the largemouth bass market, right? I've said this before, I always watch the largemouth bass videos on the American tournaments, right? Because those guys, you think about it, they're professional fishermen. Like, the prizes for some of those contests are $1 million, right? Like, those fish are incredibly pressured. It's all catch and release, right? So they've seen every bait under the sun 10 times, right? So anything that does well is worth looking at, right? Look at that little fella. I mean, just oochie coochie. And that's in sweetfish, right? And it's got that lovely little forked tail. I don't know, sorry now if I'm repeating myself, because I still have a little neurological issue from long COVID. I forget whether I've talked about things or not, and I don't have the time to go back to my videos. But it's got a beautiful action, and it's called the fish roller because when you retrieve it, it rolls like that, right? And we all know what a successful action that is for sea bass from the feed shallow. It's a rolling hard lure, right? It rolls, right? It does that on the way back in, right? So I just wanted to show you those. And then of course you got your small little poppers, right? Your little 100 mils, which I love, by the way. And I fish loads, right? I love that in the mouth of the estuary now. Pop, pop, pop. I love it. Oh, I knew there was something I wanted to talk about. Speed. Right, what speed do you fish your surface lures at? It depends on the day, but I see a lot of guys fishing them way too slowly, to be honest. We were fishing a mark one day with a chap I haven't seen in years now. I don't know what he's up to now. But he was fishing a Pachinko 140. And I mean, he was horsing it along, flying along. And so-called professional fisherman and lure shop owner from the UK walked behind him and said, "Oh, mate, you're fishing that too fast." And my buddy turned around and said, "Oh, yeah, thanks very much." And continued to absolutely lash us out of it. And about 30 minutes later, next thing, we just heard this almighty woo! And I looked down and he had a fish in his hands. And we put it onto the scales. It was 10.5 pounds. And your man came over to see the fish. And my buddy looked at him and he said, "There are no speedometers on them bass, you know." Just rolled around laughing. I thought it was priceless. It was like, the Pachinko was actually designed to be fished at speed, right? If you go and listen to Ultimate Fishing, listen to they have lots of videos, instructional videos on their YouTube channel on how to fish their lures, right? Pachinko was designed to be fished at speed, right? The whole point is that the speed switches the fish on, right? Because if they think something is getting away, they'll, you know, if you give them too long to look at something, do you know what I mean? And one other thing, and then I'm going to finish because I've got other stuff to get on with. If you're fishing the surface from a boat, right, and you hook a fish and your buddy's beside you, you can be absolutely certain 9 out of 10 times there are 3 or 4 other fish underneath that fish wanting to see what's happening, right? So as you're playing your fish, you need to have some skills to do it, but as you're playing your fish, get your buddy to cast in and around, right? And it's where the popper and the zeg claw come into their own. I couldn't tell you how many fish we've caught that way. Like where one fella hooks a fish and the next guy then casts in and around him, and one of the following fish just comes up and hits the other lure. And next thing you know, it's, you know, everybody's hooked up, right? So it's my favorite form of fishing. I talk about it all day long, right? I just love it. And get out there in the middle of the day and do it and watch what happens, you know. Was it Rage Against the Machine, or who was it? Don't believe the hype. You know, there are an awful lot of experts out there. Yeah. So, we'll end on a positive note. I'm going fishing today. Tide minnow, 170, suspending. Right? It's, I'm going to need my glasses for this one. It is it's 27.6 grams, right? Saltwater version. Let me see the name on it. Pearl chart, right? So it's basically white with a chartreuse back, and you can't see it there. Oh, you can. An orange belly, right? If you're a surf fisherman, you'll know. Okay, those are 46.50. Normally they're reduced to 30 in my shop at the minute. So get yourself online, pick yourself up a bargain. Okay, folks, that's me. I'm over and out. Have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Tight lines if you're fishing, and remember, if you get a fish, send us a picture. Okay, be careful, be good. Bye bye.